There is a silent war waging in your head right now. On one side, you have the capitalist urge, the drive to accumulate, to conquer, to build an empire of wealth and status. On the other side, you have the spiritual whisper, the call for peace, for detachment, for a life of humble simplicity. We have been conditioned to believe that these two forces are mortal enemies. We are told that you can either be the monk meditating in a cave, owning nothing but a robe, or you can be the wolf of Wall Street, spiritually bankrupt but drowning in cash. But what if that dichotomy is a lie? What if the separation between God and gold is entirely artificial? The truth is, if you look at the most enduring, high-impact success stories in history, you don't find people who chose one over the other. You find people who use the spiritual to fuel the material. Today, we are not just debunking the myth that being spiritual means being poor. We are going to prove, through neuroscience, history, and psychology, that your spiritual alignment is actually the most potent competitive advantage you have in the modern marketplace. Let's be honest about where most of us are right now. We are collectively suffering from a hustle culture hangover. You know the feeling. It's the alarm clock screaming at 6 a.m. and your first thought isn't excitement. It's a low-level panic about the 50 emails you didn't answer yesterday. We have bought into a brutal narrative that says your worth as a human being is directly tied to your productivity. The script is simple and suffocating. Grind in your 20s, burn out in your 30s, maybe find happiness in your 60s if your heart holds out. We wear our sleep deprivation like a badge of honor. We treat rest like it's a crime. And the result? We are seeing an epidemic of high-functioning anxiety. We see brilliant university graduates who secure the six-figure job, the corner office, and the luxury apartment, only to find themselves staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., paralyzed by a terrifying emptiness. They climbed the mountain, they planted the flag, and they realized the view was gray. They are successful on paper, but their souls are starving. This creates a fragile existence. When your entire identity is wrapped up in your job title, your quarterly earnings, or your GPA, you are building a skyscraper on quicksand. The moment the market crashes, or you get laid off, or you simply retire, the entire structure of your self-worth collapses. This isn't just a career problem, it is a spiritual crisis. It is the inevitable result of trying to feed an internal hunger with external rewards. You cannot solve a spiritual problem with a material solution. It's like trying to quench your thirst by eating salt. The harder you run on the hedonic treadmill, the more exhausted and empty you become. But there is a shift happening. A quiet revolution among top performers who are realizing that the old way is broken. They are discovering that spirituality isn't about escaping reality. It's about mastering it. Think of your life like a Stradivarius violin. The hustle culture approach is to saw away at the strings as hard and fast as possible, hoping that sheer effort will produce music. It usually just produces noise and broken strings. The spiritual approach is to stop, take a breath, and tune the instrument first. It is the understanding that the music, your career, your wealth, your impact is only as good as the resonance of the instrument producing it. When you align your internal state, your external actions stop being a struggle and start being a performance. This isn't just New Age fluff. It's a tangible, four-pillar framework that connects the divine to the bottom line. The first pillar is the power of presence. We live in an attention economy, which means focus is the new oil. If you cannot control your attention, you cannot control your life. This is where the ancient practice of mindfulness becomes a modern superpower. Neuroscientists like Giuseppe Pagnoni have used MRI scans to show that regular meditation doesn't just relax you. It physically restructures your brain. It increases the density of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and strategic planning. Look at Steve Jobs. He wasn't just a tech genius, he was a lifelong student of Zen Buddhism. His obsession with simplicity, his ability to cut through the noise and focus on the pure user experience that wasn't marketing, that was Zen. He didn't achieve success and then find spirituality. He used spirituality to sharpen the laser beam of his focus, allowing him to see what others missed. When you practice presence, you aren't just zoning out, you are training your brain to stop time traveling into a fearful future or a regretful past. You are anchoring your cognitive resources in the now, which is the only place where high-performance work actually happens. The second pillar is the fuel of purpose. Motivation is cheap. It runs out the moment things get hard. But purpose is nuclear energy. When you are driven by a why that is bigger than your ego, you tap into a reservoir of grit that is chemically different from simple ambition. Research consistently shows that purpose-driven individuals display higher levels of resilience and persistence. Consider Harriet Tubman. She wasn't a CEO, but she was one of the most effective leaders in American history. She didn't escape slavery and return into the jaws of death 19 times because she wanted success. She did it because she believed she was guided by the voice of God. Her spirituality wasn't a hobby, it was her operational system. It gave her a courage that defied logic. When you operate from a place of divine purpose, whether that's solving a climate crisis, building a team that feels like family, or creating art that heals obstacles, stop looking like stop signs and start looking like puzzles. You don't burn out because you aren't running on your own limited supply of energy. You are channeling something infinite. This leads us directly to the third pillar, the architecture of resilience. The road to material success is paved with failure. You will get rejected. You will lose money. You will be criticized. If your internal world is chaotic, these external hits will shatter you. Spirituality provides the shock absorbers. It cultivates a psychological buffer that allows you to detach your self-worth from your outcomes. There is perhaps no more powerful example of this than Corrie ten Boom. During the horrors of World War II, she was thrown into a concentration camp for hiding Jews from the Nazis. She lost her family. She lived in a living hell, and yet her deep Christian faith allowed her to preserve her humanity when everyone around her was losing theirs. She didn't just survive. She emerged with a capacity for forgiveness so profound that she later traveled the world teaching it. Now, you hopefully won't face a concentration camp, but when your startup fails or you fail an exam, that spiritual muscle memory of resilience is what allows you to pivot rather than panic. It teaches you that while pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The fourth and final pillar is the compass of integrity. There is a misconception that you have to be ruthless to get ahead. And sure, you can make a quick buck by cheating, but you cannot build a legacy. Long-term success is built on trust, and trust is built on integrity. This is what some scholars call spiritual intelligence, or SQ. It's the ability to act with wisdom and compassion even when it's not profitable in the short term. Take John D. Rockefeller. He is a complicated figure, often seen as the ruthless archetype of the robber baron. But he was also a devout Baptist who tithed 10% of his income from his very first paycheck as a clerk. He believed his ability to make money was a God-given gift that came with a responsibility to give back. This conviction led him to create the modern foundation of philanthropy, funding medical research that eradicated hookworm and transformed education. His spiritual framework compelled him to circulate his wealth rather than hoard it. When you lead with integrity, you attract higher quality partners, deeper loyalty from employees, and a customer base that believes in you. You stop having to manipulate people and start inspiring them. So, how do we move this from theory to practice? You don't need to move to an ashram. You need to integrate micro doses of spirituality into your daily grind. It starts with the morning alignment. Do not touch your phone for the first 15 minutes of the day. That is sacred territory. Instead, spend 5 minutes in silence. You aren't trying to levitate, you are just watching your breath. Then, write down 3 things you are grateful for. This isn't just a nice sentiment. It is neurological reprogramming. You are priming your reticular activating system to scan the world for opportunities rather than threats. Throughout the day, practice pattern interrupts. When the stress spikes before a meeting, stop. Take 3 deep breaths. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. You are hacking your vagus nerve, forcing your body out of fight or flight and back into rest and digest. It takes 30 seconds, but it changes the trajectory of your entire afternoon. And finally, end your day with a release ritual. Review your day, acknowledge the wins, learn from the losses, and then mentally visualize putting your worries into a box and locking it. You cannot receive divine inspiration if your mind is cluttered with yesterday's garbage. Here is the bottom line. You are not a machine designed to work until you break. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Your ambition is a sacred fire. It is not something to be extinguished. It is something to be purified. When you stop chasing success and start aligning with your purpose, success starts chasing you. The money, the accolades, the influence, they become the natural byproducts of a life lived in tune. I want to leave you with a challenge. Don't try to change your whole life tonight. Pick just one of the pillars we discussed: presence, purpose, resilience, or integrity, and focus on it for the next 7 days. Watch how your work changes. Watch how your energy shifts. And when you see the results, come back and let me know in the comments. If you found value in this deep dive, hit that like button to help the algorithm share this message, and subscribe so you don't miss the next step in your evolution. Go out there, get aligned, and let's get to work.